It's an awesome Saturday, and we are here to give you nothing but the best in terms of sports and where sports is concerned. I'm your host Amos, aka Amore, and welcome to Off the Pitch here on Community TV, because we are not just another channel. On set with me, I'm joined by Uncle Rapson and Augustine. Uncle Rapson, it's good to have you back on set.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be back home. I call this home, and every time when you're not in the house, you feel like you just want to go back and just meet your family and just be with them. And I missed you guys for the last, is it 3 weeks? 3 to 4 weeks, but it's good to be back.
You've been there, so I also found it.
No, it's always good to be back, and we give glory and honor to the Almighty God for the gift of life, like Augustine always says. And I think it's not by power and by mighty that we are alive, but it's just by the grace of God. And it's been a very, very busy week. We've seen quite a couple of negative news and positive news, of course. And to those that lost their loved ones in the course of the week, we probably wish them God's blessings and God's strength during this time moment. And to those of us who are having a brilliant week, we also say it's a good sporting week, and we are here to discuss nothing but the best of football.
Augustine.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God. It's been an eventful week. I've been involved in a couple of campaigns of mental health awareness, and it has been good to be involved in something different away from football. Like Uncle Rapson has said, there are people who have lost loved ones. I think those are the people we love to talk to, or we have been interacting with. I think the mental health awareness campaign is very, very good, and it has kept me busy this week.
Yeah, I notice. Anyway, we'll just go on a very short break as we get back and take a look at all the happenings within the course of the week, not forgetting the disappointment that the nation had in terms of MWEPU having an early retirement from football. For now, we'll just take a very short break.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Community Channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Prime plots filled with beautiful views are now available for sale in Palavana. They will have tarred roads, electricity, water, golf course, 24-hour security, and more. They are on title and you can view them. With a standard 20% initial deposit, you will already be on your way to owning land Kumayard. We have 40 by 25 meters going for 240,000 and our 50 by 42 going for 300,000. Both have flexible payment plans. They are located 28 kilometers from Crossroads Mall and 16 kilometers from New Kasama's Boom Gate along Leopards Hill Road. For viewings, purchases and inquiries, call the numbers on the screen.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Prime plots filled with beautiful views are now available for sale in Palabana. They will have tarred roads, electricity, water, golf course, 24-hour security and more. They are on title and you can view them. With a standard 20% initial deposit, you will already be on your way to owning land Kumayad. We have 40 by 25 meters going for 240,000 and our 50 by 42 going for 300,000. Both have flexible payment plans. They are located 28 kilometers from Crossroads Mall and 16 kilometers from New Kasama's Boom Gate along Leopards Hill Road. For viewings, purchases and inquiries, call the numbers on the screen.
It's a wonderful Saturday, like I said earlier, and we are here to discuss nothing but the best. But first, before we go into what is to happen today in terms of the world of sports, let's go straight to discuss the issue of one ENOCK MWEPU, and that's the discussion that we have and the topic that we have for today. Maybe before we play the clips, or maybe just the run through that are there, let's just get straight to that. Uncle Rapson, did it come as a shock to you?
Well, not only to me, but to the nation at large, and it's something that I failed to comprehend, something that I failed to digest throughout the week, to understand that a top talent like ENOCK MWEPU is facing retirement at an early age because of health reasons, and I think for me, it's something that is very, very drastic, something that is very, very traumatizing to the family, something that is very, 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 very devastating to the football fraternity of this country. He's a top talent. We saw him coming through Airtel Rising Stars, getting to the under-17, under-20 national soccer teams, and finally, at the age of 24, probably he was one of the youngest captains that the country will ever have. And in him, we had a player that had very, very good leadership qualities with him, and to get down to him taking a different role in football, I think for me, I'm still trying to comprehend that this is one player who made a very, very big move from Austria into England, and he started playing at a very, very high level. And the good thing about everything else is that yesterday I was very, very impressed when I watched the game between Brentford and Brighton, and we could see how the whole team was rallying behind ENOCK MWEPU and wishing him all the best in the next phase of his football career. And it's not the end of the road with regards to him contributing to Zambian football, but I think it sets a very, very, very strong platform that only God is in charge of our lives. This is a very, very shocking move, but at the end of the day, we only have to thank God, because everything comes at the right time, and the right time is not our time, but it's always God's time.
August?
Yeah, it was very much devastating news when it came through. I remember I didn't see the news firsthand. I received a call from a friend, and then he told me, "Are you seeing what's going around on social media?" That's when I switched on my data and went to social media, only to just read the devastating statements from Brighton and ENOCK MWEPU. I think it was very, very touching. You remember these boys? I think there were two top talents from Chambishi, ENOCK MWEPU and Changwe Kalale. They came together at the under 17. They were identified through the Airtel Rising Stars, and these two were probably the most promising talents coming from that part of Zambia, in Chambishi, a small town in Chambishi. And ENOCK MWEPU went to Kafue Celtic, and then he started developing there. He was moved to Power Dynamos. He didn't get a lot of game time at Power Dynamos, ENOCK MWEPU. Then he went with Tenant to Napsa Stars. I remember he made his Premier League debut for Napsa Stars against Red Arrows at Woodland Stadium. He was playing as a holding midfielder. He played one of the best games I've seen ENOCK play. He was very, very good on the ball, and you would always know that this guy was destined for greatness, because if you remember, at under 17 was when he was breaking through at national team level, at junior level. He was being played as a wide player. He was most played on the left side of midfield, because he was not physically, wasn't the strongest. ENOCK MWEPU, as he was coming in through as a young boy, he had good times at Napsa Stars, which earned him a call up to the under 2017, and they went and won the Africa Cup of Nations. He was one of the most instrumental players for Zambia, which probably earned him the move to Red Bull Salzburg. He went to Austria. He was then sent to their feeder club, Richterif. He played there a season, and then he was promoted to the senior team. He played big games like the Champions League against Liverpool. He grew up as a Liverpool fan, and going to Anfield, probably scoring a beautiful goal. I think to me, he lived this dream. He played with the likes of Erling Haaland, who is doing it now in the Premier League. Patson Daka, his close friend from Salzburg, and now they moved together in England. When I went into England, everyone was very much excited. Every Zambian was happy, because we had two boys now who are playing in the biggest league in the world, in Patson Daka and ENOCK MWEPU. He made this Brighton debut against Burnley at the Turf Moor. He played 45 minutes. It wasn't his best starts to Brighton career, but after that, I think he was one of their best midfielders alongside Yves Bissouma. He scored his first Brighton goal against Leicester in a Carling Cup, which they eventually went and lost on penalties. And then he scored his first league goal for Brighton at Anfield, a place he has always dreamt of playing. I think he's a player who, if he looks back at his career, he has lived his dream, but it has been cut short. It's very, very sad, because most of the times we always see footballers walking away from their game by their own terms, not through illness. I've seen players have cardiac arrests, the like of Murumbu. Remember the Bolton Wanderers midfielder? He then retired from the game as well. We had Christian Eriksen. I didn't know that it felt this bad, because it was players who are far away from us. But now that it has happened to a Zambian, you can feel the pain, and we just wish ENOCK MWEPU all the very best in his new chapter in life.
And Barton, just a quick one maybe before we go to other things. Do you think there is need for measures to be put in place? Because Augustine has given an example. We had the likes of Christian Eriksen, but let's not forget about Aguero, because it's one of the things as well that made him retire.
Including the late Chaswell.
Yeah, so maybe it's high time that these clubs, or maybe should now come to terms to say, okay, there is such and we have to live with it.
Well, I think these conditions are not conditions that are perennial. You don't live with them for a very long time.
Yeah.
They just come very shockingly, because these are players. Remember that these guys go serious medicals when they are switching clubs, and at every beginning of every season, all the players, including back here in Zambia, I know players who have failed medicals at the beginning of the season because they probably have issues that they didn't realize they had. But in this particular case, I think this is one guy who passed his medicals even at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And calamity has come through, and we are in this situation because the situation has probably just started, or if it was there, it was very insignificant. Remember that every health condition has the minimum and the maximum. It has a range. There is always a range. It's like malaria. There's normal malaria, there's malaria plus, malaria plus. So certain things are probably just, some things are better left to God, because clearly it's very, very difficult to even think about the situation now, because our medical instruments in here, and maybe if it's here, you can say a Zambian is likely to probably collapse and die because we are unable to detect certain things. But when you look at the vigorous tests that these players go through in Europe, and then you realize that ENOCK is finding himself in this particular situation, it's quite surprising, really, very, very surprising. But like I said earlier, illnesses, some illnesses like the heart will not show a prolonged signal that it's likely to happen.
It's just unfortunate.
It is. It just comes. It pops up, and it's good that it's been detected, because now he can manage his life and live long for the rest of his, for the sake of his family and himself, as well as us. We need him as a country because he has learned a lot at that age. I know he's young, he's 24, but what he has learned, the exposure that he has gone through to get to a level where he is now, is good enough for him to contribute very positively to the development of football back home in Zambia.
And you can see from the messages that he was getting from his teammates at Brighton, the likes of Danny Welbeck, if Bissouma, his former teammate who's moved on now to Tottenham, even the coach, the new coach who at Brighton, he said positive things, and he said he was always he's ready to listen to ENOCK Mwepu with regards to what we want to do in his career now. Even the former coach who is now at Chelsea, Graham Potter, I think it has been the response that has come through. I think will keep ENOCK Mwepu going. Even the Football Association of Zambia they have been very, very supportive. Brighton have been very supportive. The entire nation has been very, very supportive, and it's very, very sad to see a career being cut short. ENOCK Mwepu left us with brilliant memories. He won us the Africa Cup of Nations. At the World Cup, you remember, quarter-final against Italy, we were leading, we were on top of the game. Then ENOCK got injured, and then everything went bad. So he's the kind of player who Zambia would have loved to have had for a long time, because the influence he had on games. He was given his senior national team debut by Wilson Nyirenda 2017 when we played Algeria at the National Hero Stadium, and ENOCK Mwepu scored on his debut. He will forever be remembered, ENOCK Mwepu, great player, and I still believe he has got a lot to offer in football, and he will do just that.
Let's look at the outing of the under-20 Augustine. We managed to secure a place that's in the final on Sunday, and we've qualified for the under-20 AFCON that will be played in Egypt in 2023. But let's look at the game that was played yesterday first, where the game had to go to post-match penalties. Did you expect the lads to have a tough game like that against Angola?
It was always going to be very, very difficult because both teams knew a victory will send us to the Africa Cup of Nations, which as Zambia, since we won it in 2017, we have failed to qualify. Now we are back at the Africa Cup of Nations.
We are used to qualifying geographically.
Exactly. I think it was always going to be a tough game against the Angolans. They are very, very good, technically gifted, and you have to understand that they have got very, very good youth structures in Angola, the likes of Premier de Augusto, They have got one of the best academies in Southern Africa. And going into this tournament, we always wanted to do our best so that we qualify for this tournament. Remember, all our national teams have been built from the under-20. I remember, is it 1997 when we had the likes of Andrew Sinkala when they went and played Brazil, got beat by 5-1. Then we had the period where we had the Clifford Mulenga, Fuayo Tembo, Joseph Zimba, that team which went to Canada, Stopiran Suns, William Jovo. And then now we had this crop with the likes of Patson Daka, Emmanuel Banda, Fashion Sakala, ENOCK MWEPU. So you always realize that our success at under-20 will determine where we'll be as a country in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. Because from the time that we did well at under-20, we got those players promoted to the senior team. We never have time at under-23. So our best opportunity to develop players for the senior team is always under-20. And we have seen a lot of young promising talent. I think there have been the 2 centre backs in Happy Siku and Gift Mpande, very good ball playing defenders. Happy Siku from Red Arrows, he was from MC Galaxy. He was captain at MC Galaxy last season. He played very well. He's moved to Red Arrows. He hasn't played any game at Red Arrows. He hasn't even been involved whatsoever. Red Arrows is not even in the 18-man squad, but you can see his progression when he's progressing with the ball. He's one of those centre backs who can go with the ball into central midfield and build from there. We've seen players like Amon Chulu from Ghana, very good young lad left back, and Ghana, a team which have struggled in that area with Lyson Tole. He hasn't been very effective from Ghana. And this boy now is come through, and you can see he's the future. He's a very good left back. Even at senior national team level, we are struggling for left backs. And if you see what Amon Chulu is doing at Tekosafa, very brilliant boy. Dominic Kanda, the captain, our holding midfielder, probably the best holding midfielder we have in the country. The boy is a marvel to watch. Yes, at youth level. Even at senior level, which one do you have? We don't have a senior holding midfielder at the national team level. He's very good, technically gifted. He understands the game very well. I heard of Dominic Kanda from a friend who went to watch him when he was playing for Shameo, and he told me, go and watch this boy. I watched him play for Shameo against Atletico at the Barcelona, which is the Toyota Arena now. You can see he's a very good holding midfielder. He's one for the future. And we've got players like Charles Majapa from Atletico Lusaka. It's a very good team of very good technically gifted boys. Shipioka Shonga, he's living up to expectations, scored a very brilliant free kick to level the match for us yesterday. And this team going to Africa Cup of Nations, they stand a chance to try and go there and compete and qualify to the World Cup.
Well, big congratulations to Chisi. Chisi has been missing in action at Red Arrows on national duty in South Africa, and he's done a very fantastic job. Let's not take away any positives from him. Understanding youth football is not an easy thing to do. You really need to have passion and understand that these are your children. You treat them like your children. And I think he's built a very formidable squad. The skipper Dominic, like Augustine has said, he's been very instrumental. And yesterday was the only day. I mean, they conceded their first goal very quickly against Angola. But I think Songa Chipioka, the young lad from Zesco United, has been very instrumental, and in that particular game he equalized for the country, and we saw the game getting into post-match penalties where we emerged victorious, and by default qualifying to the Africa Cup of Nations at under 20 level, which will be hosted in Egypt. And I think for me it's been a roller coaster for the young lads. They've been very consistent, to say the truth, and I think the level of consistency that we have at under 20 level, it is unfortunate that history has shown that from 2017 we have failed to participate in these youth championships, not until now. But surprisingly, I was expecting your player Joseph Sabobo to be starting this game. Unfortunately, it's very competitive at under 20 level, and
he started the first 2 games, is it? And then he was
and he was sidelined,
together with is it Derek Ulaya, who hasn't been impressive. I think he was one of the players who are expected to try and do better this tournament. He has been there at the Kosafa at one point. He won it even the time when Oswald Mutapa was it Oswald Mutapa won it? Yeah. So you can see that our team, we have got a lot of young talent with great potential. Chisimbewe, like Uncle Robson has said, massive congratulations to him. He's someone who has been very, very humble, and this has been one of the best years for him. He has won the Premier League with Red Arrows. He has won the Coach of the Year. He has also won the Coach of the Year. I think, to me, and now he has qualified the team to the Africa Cup of Nations. He couldn't have dreamt for a better year than this one.
Yeah, and you know there's a vacancy at the senior level.
Wow, that's too big. That's too big.
I thought so. But a very big congratulations to Jeban, the goalkeeper, guys. Let's recognize the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That lad, to save 2 penalties when the country, you are literally
just him missing that penalty and then saving the next one. That was
maybe we must congratulate the association for making these appointments at youth level. They have done brilliant appointments, because these youth teams, they are not the same with the senior team. You need coaches who understand them, like Uncle Robson, I said, someone who look to these boys like he's a father. So if you go and bring someone who won't have a good relationship with these boys, it all collapses. But they have made the right appointments, they have made strong technical benches, and the success is seen now.
A quick prediction, Uncle Robson, on tomorrow's game.
Well, it will be a very, very tough match. Mozambique is not a small team, and I think for them to get to this level, they also have done their homework back home. And on a lighter note, did you see how big the Angolans were yesterday? I was looking at the teams and I'm seeing players. I'm looking at, is this under 23 versus under 20, or what is going on here?
I think the entire tournament, it has been the same with us. Swatini,
they were all huge.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so is it only Zambia that is fielding the correct players, or we are malnourished? We are just not big in size, in stature. But anyway, a big congratulations to the lads. And tomorrow's game against Mozambique will not be an easy game, but I think coming back from a 1-0 down against Angola and getting straight to beating them in the penalties, I think it's a great boost. A very, very great wake-up call for Chisi and his technical bench. They've been doing things correctly from day one, match day one, up to yesterday. In yesterday's game, they probably needed to be checked that you can also concede. So that probably in defense, maybe they started relaxing, knowing very well that they have not been conceding. So for me, that wake-up call came at the right time, because as we get into the game against Mozambique, he should be able to tighten up those loopholes that happened in yesterday's game. Because conceding first, when you've been brilliant throughout the tournament, it's something that really needs to be looked into, because Mozambicans as well, they are also looking at Zambia to say, okay guys, probably they are being told, guys, to reach the finals is an achievement enough. Whether you win or you lose, it doesn't matter. You've already achieved the fact that you are going to the Africa Cup of Nations. So for them, they'll probably have no pressure. On the other hand, Zambia is going to have a lot of pressure. Remember, we won it in 2017. We've not been there at Africa Cup level. So, and we've been absent, and now getting to win this tournament
and sending a message,
and sending a very strong message to the African contenders in Egypt, in the pyramids of Egypt. I think we really deserve to concentrate as a team, concentrate as a nation. Let's rally behind our boys and just get that positive result against Mozambique. I am seeing a situation where it will not need to go into extra time. The Angolans were much more stronger, if you ask me, than Mozambique. So we should be able to bury the game within regulation time.
Augustine, you go with the same prediction?
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tough encounter. I saw a post yesterday from Coach Oswald Mutapa. He said the target has been met. Now we're going for the bonus. And I think every Zambian, all we wanted was Zambia to reach the finals, to qualify to the Africa Cup of Nations. And now we're going for the bonus. We'll see a different team, because they will be playing with less pressure. the pressure won't be like, let's go out there and get a result, let's go out there and enjoy. This is youth football. There are no champions in youth football. It's all about development and progressing to the next level. That's what we want to see. That's what we are here for. And we've won the COSAFA at the senior level. We've won the COSAFA with the Shipolo. Now we are winning it with the under 20. Better we just rename the tournament to Zambia Cup.
Let's not shy away that we have the under 23 Augustine. I think the squad that we haven't seen for quite a while now, and they've been also having preparation games because they're supposed to play Sierra Leone. That's on October 22nd, but they have a friendly that's against Uganda. Yeah, against Uganda. Yeah, on the 18th. So let's look at this process and how competition is going to be stiff, because we are looking at all these guys. They are these lads who are playing the under 20, and
how will the boys play? Because on Tuesday, as a nation, we'll be praying and fasting, and they'll be playing a game at Nkolo.
It doesn't come to mind.
How do the Muslims do Ramadan? Most of the place.
Anyway, it will be a very, very good game. We need to see how Coach Oswald has been preparing the lads, and it's a good preparatory game, if you ask me. The Cranes of Uganda are not an easy team, and I think that's where Micho is.
He's the one who is managing the team.
Yeah, no, he will come. We need to teach him a local lesson here. The country you left is a better place to be than where you are, and I believe the lads will be supported, very, very highly supported by all of us. The fans will be trekking to Colombo Stadium to watch that particular encounter. But I think for me, what is important there is the threat that the under 23 has from the under 20, because the under 20 has set a very good pace, and depending on the results on Tuesday and the performance of the under 23, we are likely to see a situation where some of the boys, upon winning on Sunday, they will be incorporated in the under 23 to go and create that competition in the team. Because if we are not going to see the flair and the fluidity of the team, of team cohesion on Tuesday, there will be a lot of calls that will be made for some serious changes to the under 23, because they don't have much time before the competitive game. It's probably a week or two in between, and they will have that competitive game. So I would like to see how they will perform on Tuesday. But I think, knowing Coach Oswald and his technical bench, I think they've done a fantastic job. He's one coach who loves working with the youth. We saw how he's probably one of the longest serving coaches at national level when it comes to youth football. He's an expert of the under 17s and under 20s, but now he's been given a notch higher to manage the under 23. I was looking at the squad for the under 23. A very big congratulations to Andrew Piri from Musa for making it to the squad. I think for now, I think now, and Coach Oswald, if he's watching, he will bear me witness. I had a very, very good conversation with him, and I told him, I said, you see, let's not look at players who are being called to the national team because of the history. Let's look at the current state of affairs. This boy is banging in goals day in, day out at Musa, and he's young. He's within the normal brackets. Let's give him an opportunity, and for sure that code did not fall on deaf ears. Thank you so much, Coach Oswald and the entire technical bench, for giving that young man a call to the national team. I think he's also coming in probably as a result of one Ricky Banda's injury, and
so you capitalize on that, huh?
Of course, very, very important. In life, you take an opportunity with both hands. Of course, we are not wishing anybody ill to say he needs to have an injury for this other one to have a chance, but I think time and chance happens to all, and this is an opportunity for Andrew Piri to make his mark at under 23 level and just show the nation that the goals that he's been banging for Musa have not been flukes, but had end goals.
And if you look at the team that Coach Oswald has scored, we have had players who have had a very, very good start to the season. One player is Andrew Piri, a late call-up. I think he's one of the best strikers in the league currently. He's been playing very, very good football. We've had the Green Eagle, is it Prison Leopards goalkeeper Chioma, who is doing brilliant as well. He has had a good start to the season. Player is like Jimmy Mkea, he's rediscovered his form. Golden Mashata, likewise. And you go for Green Buffaloes central midfielder Kosam, he's very, very good. He's developed into a player who is taking a lot of responsibility Joshua Mutale. We have got a lot of talent in this squad, and the only unfortunate thing about the under-23 is that it's the only national team which is less active. It's high
There's
time.
no competition
Yeah,
around that age.
it's high time the Football Association of Zambia will try and find ways and means to try and get these guys very, very active. I personally would think if we look at the COSAFA tournament, probably we should start sending the under-23 so that they can be competitive each and every year, so that when this game come calling, we are always active, we always have a team in place, because the Olympics, it's one big deal. We have failed to qualify for the Olympics for a very, very long time. Was it 1998? 1988, the last time we qualified to the Olympics. We need to do that this time around. We need to build a squad that will be producing players for the senior national soccer team. Very, very good boys. And the friendly against Uganda is going to offer us a good platform to see different combinations. The coaches will try different systems to try and see who fits and who plays better with who. It's an important friendly against Uganda. It's not about the result. It's about getting the team together and playing in a certain way where the coach Oswald Mutapa is happy.
For now, we will just go on a very short break as we get back and take a look at Bola Yapazedi, because Bola Yapazedi is something that we have to look at. We'll just go on a short break.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Okay, so we are back and we are here to give you nothing but the best in terms of our local leagues. And today we've got games and very, very interesting games to make. We've got at 13 hours, we've got an early kickoff first between Buffaloes versus Nkwazi, and it's at sunset, and we've got Zanaco versus Lumwana Radiance. But before we look at these games, let's take a look at the Zesco game, and I'll give that to Augustine. Augustine, Zesco will be played.
Yeah, our only hope in continental football, the only remaining representatives that we have, they are taking on Royal AM of South Africa, formerly Bloemfontein Celtic. They went away in South Africa and got a goalless draw, which is probably one of the most dangerous scorelines that you get, especially away from home, because now this United will need to have the right balance, both defense and attack, to try and get over the line. Because if Raw AM come here and score first, then it's panic mode for Zesco United. And the Zesco United side, which has gone, I think, is it 4 or 5 games now without scoring, they have got a problem up front. Zesco United, Alfred Leku, he's coming, he hasn't been impressive. He scored on his league debut at the President's Stadium when they played Prison Leopards, but from that time he hasn't had it his way at Zesco United. We've had another striker, Oburu, is it Oburu? Is back fit. He started when he joined Jesco United, was injured, but now we expect him to be back in action. He's been doing training, and Numba Mamba even mentioned it in the press conference yesterday that the only disappointing thing about Jesco United has been the strikers. Those are the guys that have let them down. Jesco United as a club, I feel the business that they have been doing in the last 3, 4, 5 years has been pretty disappointing, because Jesco United always have that one striker who will get them goals. You remember the likes of ENOCK Sakala, Winston Kalengu, Jesse Jackson, but now they don't have that kind of striker. They've got the likes of Chitia Mususu, who looks like someone who should be playing the Sunday League and not the Super League. It's very, very disappointing. They did some good business in the last 18 months, probably in the central midfield. Chanda Mkuka is one of them. Kelvin Kapumbu is one of them. Kizito Kezron. They brought in Collins Isikombe. It hasn't really clicked for him as Jesco United, but it was a good buy. They just need to put their house in order, Jesco United, and get the result this afternoon and qualify to the preliminary round so that they progress to the group stages.
Well, Jesco United has been lacking the killer instinct up front, and I think this is one thing that even the technical bench at Jesco United has come to notice. Most of the games they win, even back home in the Premier League, are probably most of the goals are being scored by the attacking midfielders, and their outright striker, which they should rely on, has not been there. And I think for me, going to South Africa and getting a goalless draw, the beauty about this tournament, the away goals rules doesn't apply anymore. So
in CAF it does.
It's still applying here.
CAF is still applying. That was just for the UEFA. CAF will still apply away goals rule.
Wow. It's a tough one for Jesco United this afternoon, and hopefully the defenders will do their job, and hoping that one or two midfielders will come to the party and just have that killer instinct in front of goal and just bury the game. But it will be a very, very difficult game, because a new scoreline for me away from home is not good enough. If the away goals rules is still applying, like Augustine has said, imagine you are leading by 1-0. You scored in the first minute, and in the 91st minute. No, let's not talk about 91st. Let's look at the way Nchaga Rangers scored against Nkana. 99th. Eh?
Yes.
So in the 99th minute, these guys royal something. They score one, and you are completely out of the tournament. It's quite unfortunate that we are still using ancient rules at CAF level, really, because. It really doesn't make sense for me to say the away goals rule. It really doesn't make sense, if you ask me. It doesn't give an opportunity for fair play. It's like the way the new rule is now. I think most of these referees actually need to update themselves, where an injured person, for example, an opposing player is fouled, and the medics get into the pitch, they treat the player, and the player is meant to walk out. And play begins, and the ref calls the player back. That thing is gone now.
It's gone.
The player needs to remain on the pitch, because it always disadvantages the team that had been fouled. So I watched a game last week where
in the double head and Coloma, we were seeing that.
Yeah. So they really need to up there.
I think the only time where that has to happen is when the player is stretched off the pitch, not when he's being
when
treated.
He's able to stand
he has to just get back there and start playing. Because CAF said that, FIFA, when they are making those rules, they always disadvantage the team which had the injury. So they wanted to come up with a system. You get injured,
you get punished, and you also have one man down.
They wanted to come up with a system whereby the player who injures the player who is going out also goes out
until
which guy comes in. I think, but that didn't go through. But I'm sure they'll look at it in future.
Certain rules don't even add up for me. But anyway, let's take a look at the games that are here today, Augustine. We've got Green Buffaloes hosting Ngwazi, and Ngwazi have been banging in goals, the likes of Bwana Shonga. So, and we are seeing a Green Buffalo side that was beaten by Red Arrows last week. And how will this game be? I know Augustine and Uncle Rapson will be there to cover this game.
Well, Green Buffaloes for me is one of the best performing teams in the country at the moment when it comes to normal play. I watched the game, they lost to Red Arrows by 0-0. But even Augustine here will attest that we enjoyed watching soccer.
Good football.
It was very, very good football, because what Masao Sotembo has done to Green Buffaloes I think there's a huge difference. And
the opposite from what Chinam was doing.
Given an opportunity to stay there for another 2 to 3 years, if they won't get in a hurry to hire and fire, he started the project very well. And the likes of Gordon Mashanta, that young lad is a marvel to watch, I'm telling you. And facing Nkwazi this afternoon, Nkwazi has been also on the rise. In the earlier kickoff, we saw them playing a game which was so boring, to say the least. And there was a double header. So the first game, I think we kept on chatting as if the game hasn't started. But I think this particular game, because of Green Buffaloes being involved and the positive trajectory of where Nkwazi is now, remember they lost a couple of games and now they are on the rise, trying to stabilize. The likes of Justin Shonga has brought very, very mature leadership in the team up front, and he's going to be facing the Chirimbamungas of this world, and it will be a very, very difficult encounter. But I fancy Green Buffaloes being victorious on the day today.
It's going to be very, very tricky in the sense that if you look at Nkwazi, they are very, very strong defensively. They don't let in a lot of goals. Defensively, they have kept about 4 clean sheets this season. They lost to Zesco United on the opening day of the season, and then
they succumbed to goals after 90th minute.
Exactly, that's their biggest problem. They went to Mana Regents where they lost in the 90th minute. Their problem with Nkwazi, their biggest problem with Nkwazi is getting goals. They only have 2 goals this season, which was scored by Justin Shonga at 4 goals, which they scored against a beautiful side at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. They seem like a team that are set up to play away from home. They went to Levi and got a result. Probably against GBFC, GBFC will find it hard playing against this Nkwazi side because they have got very, very good young players like Andrew Mpande, Henry Wesa. We were talking with Ankorapson how good Henry Wesa is, and if this boy is consistent with his performances, we may see him playing for the national team at Chan level probably. And in the game against Zanaco, they went with a system which was a diamond formation. They went with diamond with 4 across midfield. There was Stephen Mutama, Andrew Mpande, Zulu, they're holding midfielder, and they had Jeff Banda. Jeff Banda and Andrew were on the sides of the diamond. Then they had Stephen Mutama on top of the diamond. Their plan was to try and control the game, to try and control the midfield, but they didn't have the width because one of their fullbacks was Sidin P, who is naturally a right back and a centre back, and was being played as a left back, which was I found those tactics a little bit confusing because they had Pride Mansa on the bench who could have provided them with the width, because you have already controlled the midfield with the diamond that you are playing. Now you need services into the box, and Shonga and Cardozo, they had nothing.
It was similar.
They had nothing. They were fed on cramps. I think to me this is where I felt Nkwazi could have changed it, because Zanaco were there for the taking in the game at and Koloma Stadium, but they never capitalized that. But coming to GBFC, they are a team which has got very good ball playing midfielder, Kosam and Jack Chirwa. They keep the ball very well. They move it very well.
Boy.
Yeah, even Miranzi. You can see intelligent players they have, but their biggest problem is getting goals. Emmanuel Chawula, he's going to hold the ball for you. He's always playing with back to goal, so it's difficult for him to get the goals.
And for Emmanuel Chawula, the intelligent defenders only have one thing: to frustrate him. He's one player who's got a very, very bad temper. We saw him get a very, very useless yellow card against Red Arrows. He shouldn't have gotten that yellow card. But this is a player that once you frustrate him, he responds to the frustration. Instead of staying calm, he responds to the frustration. He loses concentration, and probably that is one of the biggest weaknesses that GBFC has up front. Somebody that they can rely on to get them those much needed goals. I think he needs to be woken up. He needs to be spoken to. He needs to be psyched and told that he's the main man and he must concentrate, and he has 90 minutes to deliver what they've been training throughout the week.
And coming to 15 hours, we've got Zanaco versus Lumana Radiance. That will be also played at Super or Sunset. It will be live also on Super Sport. And we have Nkana who will be hosting Forest Rangers at Ngana Stadium. We've got Kansashi Dynamos versus Napsa Stars, and we've got Chambishi versus Red Arrows, Mchanga Rangers versus Prison Leopards. These are the games that are being played today. And for Rapson, let's look at the Ngana versus Forest Rangers game. I heard the as if we were in Parliament.
Well, the only good news about Nkana Football Club is that they are launching their kit. Everything else, I didn't know. You mean they are playing soccer today? They went to Musa and embarrassingly lost. And you know, I was sharing with Augustine. I said, I think remember when I came to Nkoloma, yes, somebody was asking me, why are you not in Mazabuka? I said, to do what? What is there? We have been very consistent as a club, Ngana Football Club. They have been very consistent with losses. And you know, sometimes consistency is not always on the positive side.
It's the negative side.
These ones, they are on the negative side. And you see, for me to look at the table and enjoy myself that this is a team that I probably have a soft spot for, I have to turn the table upside down and see that we are in the top 4.
Yeah, I think
so. That game against Forest Rangers, I know it will be at Nkana Stadium. We are launching the new kit, and we are hoping that Nkana Football Club will bounce back. And no, you need to put it upside down, Isaac. Yeah? We know we are occupying 3rd position. It's a very, very important slot, that one, as Nkana Football Club. But generally, I think Nkana will bounce back from the problems that they've had. They have gone through a bad phase, and that bad phase is coming to an end this afternoon as they host Forest Rangers at Nkana Stadium.
Yeah, the problem with Nkana, they keep blowing hot and cold. To see a
no, we've never blown hot this season.
You've got a victory under your belt.
Just one. Yeah. One normal one. Against Bidcon.
Yeah, it was a victory. And
Bidcon is losing to every team, so you can't even...
So when you try and look at Nkana, the biggest problem is quality. Nkana, truth be told, Nkana lack quality. There were times when you look at the Nkana lineup, you just lose the game before it starts. The likes of Water Warrior, Ronald Kampamba, Idris Mbombo, and one of them is sitting on the bench, Sutra Shimenga. You could see that this Ghana side is coming here for nothing but 3 points. But these Ghana players, they don't have the quality.
Those days, they got to a stage where they could get paid the winning bonus before they came.
But you look at Ghana players, they lack quality, they lack character in that Ghana dressing room. Because one thing about Ghana is that every game is important for Ghana. Whether you are playing a friendly, whether you are playing Madalas on Sunday, as long as you are using the name Ghana, every game is very, very serious. So these players don't have that character to try and turn up every weekend and produce the good from Ghana. That's their biggest problem. Like I said, they are players with strong characters. The likes of Donation Malama, it was very, very successful in Ghana because those understood the task and the club that they were playing for. Ghana is just similar, is closer to playing for the national team, where every result matters. That's how it is at Ghana.
I like the way Augustine is coming out passionate. You know, sometimes I feel like I speak highly of Ghana, but I think he's done it, he's nailed it, he's better into that. But just adding to the history that Augustine is alluding to, the healthy history that Ghana has. Look at how we are signing players.
Exactly, that's the biggest problem.
A player who is a rejected Power Dynamo, and you even go and start him in Mazabuka with hope that you will get a positive result. Really. So it's like we are just getting
the recruitment side of things.
It's terrible. It's pathetic. It's pathetic because we are getting anyone who can kick a ball with 2 legs.
Even that the guy they got from Wires.
How do you get a player who has been released at your rivals and not released because of anything? It's performance. And then he sees an opportunity at Ghana Football Club, and you even go and enjoy. Certain players, let's not even enjoy. Just play. You just see them in the team and say,
oh, we are talking. Yes. And then I think that's very, very true because
it's one of the reasons why I felt to go to Man.
Don't be very you score a free kick this afternoon and you win against Forest Rangers. I think the recruitment side of Ghana has been very, very poor. The way they are recruiting players, you go and get a Mangani who was the 3rd choice at Zanaco and make him number 1. Mangani made his breakthrough in 2012 at Zone 6, together with Lawrence Mulenga. If you remember, Lawrence Mulenga was his debutant at Zone 6, but Lawrence Mulenga started playing football. He got game time, and Mangani was sitting on the bench. For almost 10 years, you were sitting on the bench at Sunset Stadium, and then Ghana make a gamble and get Mangani to try and be in goals. That's because goalkeepers is all about confidence and form, and Mangani doesn't have that at the minute. And then Ghana are letting go of best players. Their side of the business of letting go players, it has been very, very bad. You see the likes of Kelvin Mwanga, the way he left Ghana, Sutra Shimenga. How many times do you keep losing these players? Because news that's coming through, they may lose Gire Chimwemwe. And how many times are you going to be losing your best players and then replacing them with below average players? It's a very, very big problem at Ghana. They need to rectify this.
Do you know that
from last season, I think
that theory says that money answers all things.
Yes.
It's simple.
From last season, the past 3 seasons at Ghana, if it's not Alex Nwanga who scored the goals, they've been this situation has been there at Ghana for over 3 years, and it hasn't been addressed. They are bringing players like Ndaya. I don't know if it's Ndaya, that striker. What is he going to bring at Ghana? They brought another flop. Was it David Obashi? Because he was coming from Prison Leopards, they thought he was the top striker. He went to Lusaka Dynamos, did nothing, then Ghana signed him. Wow.
And do you know how many games he played before going?
I think 2 or 3.
He didn't contribute anything. He was just on his tool.
Very poor. I think the only game he scored was from a penalty spot.
Yeah. But anyway.
And then this afternoon, they're playing against undefeated Forest Rangers, which has always looked to be very good. They have been good travelers, because what Ian Bakala sets up his team to play out from home is that let's stay compact and try and hit the opposition on the counter. Ghana must be very, very wary about that, because they have got Clifford Mulenga, they have got Quadricola, they have got is it Lomo? I don't know the striker who was with Lusaka Dynamos last season, Luambo Moyela, something like that. Yeah, he's been getting them goals, so it's going to be an interesting encounter this afternoon.
And due to time, we've got also in the first national division 1 game. We've got Jumuro versus Kongola Blades. We've got Lusaka Dynamos versus Atletico Lusaka, and we've got Kafue Celtic versus Kafue Eagles. Young Buffaloes versus Aguila Stars, Trident versus Livingston Pirates. Those are some of the games that are being played. That's in the first division 1 week. I'm going to wrap on your closing remarks because we've run out of time.
I've always talked about Napsa Stars, my Napsa Stars.
Okay, let's talk about the acquisition of one Augustine Mulenga at Napsa Stars. What is it going to bring?
Exactly. What Napsa Stars needed was experience.
And they
are coming from Eden, getting into the Super League. They started badly. They had a very bad stretch. They resurrected against Musa, and unfortunately the following weekend they were off because they should have played Zesco United. They didn't have that game, so they are back on the pitch, and they've made a long trip to Boyd Murwanda's Kazashi Dynamos. That team is not an easy team, but I think Augustine is in the team. He's traveled with the squad, and we are hoping that he comes and makes his debut there and makes a big difference, because that's what Napsa Stars has been lacking. Look at the number of goals they've scored. They've scored goals through different players. There's literally no front man who you can say this is their top man. The same problem that Ghana Football Club has is probably the same one that Napsa Stars has. Yeah. And hoping that the coming in of one Augustine. And I can't wait to have Napsa Stars facing Quasi Football Club, where you see just
Shonga and Augustine.
It will be very, very interesting. And these lads are bringing flair and experience to our Zambian Super League.
Augustine, you're closing remarks.
It's been an eventful week. It started on a bad note with ENOCK MWEPU announcing his retirement from football, a dark cloud on Zambian football. We've had Fashion Sakala start in the Champions League against Liverpool, where they were whipped by 7-1, but it was good for Fashion on his CV. He has played the Champions League with big teams like Liverpool. Emmanuel Banda scored in the conference, and he dedicated the goal to ENOCK MWEPU. Likewise, the under-20, when they won their last group game, they dedicated it to ENOCK MWEPU. And looking forward to Bola Yapazedi this weekend, a lot of interesting fixtures that are taking place, and I would love to urge everyone out there, all the viewers, go to the nearest stadium and support Bola Yapazedi. We've got mouth-watering fixtures. We look at Zesco United. We wish them all the best as they represent us in the continental football. We've got big games in Europe. The El Clasico is here. We want to see where the Xavi team is at when they face a mighty Real Madrid. And a big thanks to the entire production team for making this show possible. And a big thanks to all you, the viewers out there. We always appreciate your support and effort for tuning in. And we see you next week.
This is where we've come to the end of the show, and like Augustine has said today, it's better, but let's not forget to look at where the Xavi is tomorrow when they face against Real Madrid. So on behalf of the whole interproduction team, that's Isaac, not forgetting Pastors Moses and Victoria, and Pastor was celebrating his birthday yesterday, so it's still his birthday, not until next week because it's a week. So maybe not until the end of this month.
Our executive producer.
Yes. So that's where we come to the end of the show. Stay glued to Camnet TV. I've been your host, Amos, aka Amore, and Amazing Atamanda is coming on your screens with the weekly gospel show. For now, it's bye-bye. See you next week.